may not have to nuke my lawn after all. What's going on, everybody? Chuck here, and I hope that you are having a fantastic day today. In this video, we are talking about summertime weed control. So if you recall, back in the spring, I did an overseed on the front lawn because I didn't have time to do one last fall because we had just moved into the house in early to mid-October, and I was a little bit nervous about how much time I had before our first frost. So I decided to hold off into the spring, and I do not regret holding off to the spring at all because I don't want to spend a bunch of money on grass seed only for it to not really have a chance to germinate because we had a frost too early or something like that. But because I did a spring overseed, I did not do a traditional pre-emergent on the lawn. I did use mesotrione as both a pre and a post-emergent, and that did do pretty well holding back the weeds for the majority of the spring and into the early parts of the summer. But now that we are in late July, the mesotrione has worn off, and so weeds are now taking advantage of that barrier-free turf, and they have started sprouting everywhere, as you can see in this footage here. I'm battling your typical summertime weeds of crabgrass, Dallas grass, Johnson grass, or whatever. I still have some clover left over from the application of Speed Zone, but I will say, and I'll link to that video down in the description below if you want to check that out, the Speed Zone did a really awesome job and knocked out the vast majority of the clover in the lawn, but there's still some areas that hung tight and just bided its time before it can start growing a little bit, but is nowhere near as bad as it was several weeks ago. Now I am starting to notice this yellowish green, lime green, light green, grassy weed that has started to spread in the lawn. It's not just popped up like crabgrass, which is like its own individual plant that just sort of, with its crab hand starts spreading out. This is almost like a Bermuda grass where it seems like it just sort of is spreading all over the place. And I use this app called Picture This. It does a really good job identifying different types of flowers and trees and shrubs, even grass types. But when it comes to weeds, I tend to struggle with it a little bit because it gives me several different identifications, and I don't know which one it really is because they all kind of look similar. I'm putting it up here on the video, so if you want to go ahead and have any idea what this type of weed is, please comment down below with that, just so I can maybe have a better idea if this application of herbicide combination that I'm doing today does not knock it out. I'm leaning towards carpet grass because that seems to be something that, at least through color and description of how it spreads, is what it could be, but I'm not 100% sure. In any case, I want to go ahead and knock out as many of these weeds as I can before I really start planning my fall overseed this year, because I'm really weighing heavily between just sticking with what I have now and just doing an overseed, or smoking the grass, nuking everything and starting from scratch, putting some new soil down, leveling a little bit, and just starting over, which I really don't want to do if I don't have to, if I can just keep the weeds under control that I have now, and that way I have a good sort of canvas to just do a really proper fall overseed with this year. So the combination of products I'm going to be using to hopefully knock out a lot of the different types of weeds I have in my lawn is a combination of mesotrione and Speed Zone. Now, I did look, you can mix these two together. There's not going to be any problems there, but from what I've read, this will definitely cover a lot of different weeds that are out there. Now, I know because I do have crabgrass, I probably should have used something with quinclorac, which I do have. I have a bottle of Drive Accelerate that I bought, but I wanted to maybe get more bang for my buck, if that makes sense, because quinclorac, it has its purpose, it does really well, but I wanted more of a wide spectrum treatment for various weeds. And so I think between the mesotrione and the Speed Zone, that will give me exactly what I need, because mesotrione will take care of crabgrass where Speed Zone won't. They do have overlap in what they treat, but they do have different things that one does treat and the other doesn't. In this combination, I am also gonna be adding a non-ionic surfactant because I wanna get that chemical on the leaf tissue, not down to the soil, because the leaf tissue is where these chemicals are gonna go to work and start knocking out some of this gross stuff. And I'm also using blue marking dye because I'm going to be doing a spot treatment and not so much a broadcast treatment like I did with the Speed Zone earlier. So in this cocktail, I'll be using 2 gallons of water, and I'll be using half a teaspoon per gallon of the mesotrione and 1.4 fluid ounces per gallon of this Speed Zone. So I will say, as you're watching this video, you will notice that I use practically every ounce of the cocktail mix that I had. I used almost all 2 gallons of product on my around 2,000 square feet of lawn area, which are like, that's fine. But if you think about it, I didn't apply the product to every part of the lawn, so I over applied it in certain areas because you don't need to do that. Things just got away from me and I went ahead and did it. Things look like they're okay, but definitely you don't want to go back and forth over the lawn a couple times or over an area a couple times. Really, it's just a spritz and you move on. There were several areas where I definitely got a little bit carried away and I went, I'm gonna kill you, you stupid weeds, eat this. Shouldn't have done that, but I did. And it seems like now that I'm about 10 days post-application, I think things are okay, but we'll find out in a few more weeks because typically to really see the heavy results, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to really see heavy results or to see really what is left versus, to see what's left after your initial application. Now, when you're doing your summertime weed control, there's a couple things you really want to be careful for, so that way you don't potentially ruin your grass, which is what you're really trying to avoid by taking care of the weeds in your lawn, so that way your grass has a chance to spread and grow and be happy. You don't want to apply these products when it's over 85 degrees outside for your high temperatures. Now, I lucked out. Yes, we are in mid to late July, or at least at the application it was mid-July. But that day, the high temperatures was only going to be 83. I applied it earlier in the day, so it hadn't even reached the high temperature yet. And the high temperature wasn't going to be reached until 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon. And like I said, I applied it around between 11:30 and 12, somewhere in there. So I was really within the zone of being okay. There are some chemicals that you can push that up to 90 degrees. Spectracide Weed Stop for Lawns is one of those, but just to be safe, better safe than sorry, don't apply any harmful herbicides or chemicals to your lawn when it's over 85 degrees because you're risking seriously damaging your turf. Also, don't apply any harmful chemicals when your turf is stressed out. We're in the summer now, so a lot of us cool season folks, a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are dealing with some sort of heat stress with the lawn. It's looking dry and brittle, so if your lawn looks like that, don't apply a harmful chemical to it because it will only further stress out the turf. If you are dealing with a little bit of drought and heat stress, put some water down, plan your application out a little bit and say, like, earlier in the week, you're gonna go ahead and water real heavy, do some sort of heat or stress type fertilizer, and then plan on doing an application of some sort of herbicide a couple days afterwards when your lawn starts getting a little bit better, looking a little bit better. And always, 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 always wear proper PPE. You're dealing with harmful chemicals that can do damage to your person, so wear proper PPE at all times. So as I said, we are now 10 days post-application. The footage you're watching is actually just a week post-application, but I'm recording this talking head afterwards. And it looks like everything is doing what it's supposed to do. The crabgrass is turning white because of the mesotrione. The clover is really starting to wilt because of the Speed Zone. And whatever that, if it's carpet grass or whatever that lime, yellow, green, whatever grassy weed it is also really starting to turn white. And since this footage you're watching, it's even turned a lighter shade and whiter. So I'm hoping this application is going to knock it out, because I may have to come back over with another application, which I really don't want to do. And I'm still heavily leaning towards killing everything and starting fresh from scratch. So I hope this application works, so that way I don't have to do that, but I'm leaning that way anyway. So I don't really know. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please follow me on Instagram. I have just over 500 followers. I'd like to get a little bit more. I'm doing more with Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. And even though it's not technically lawn-related content, it is more on the personal side of my life. You know, my interactions with my wife and kids and family, which I think is pretty funny and it's entertaining. So follow me in those various avenues if you haven't done so already. I will see you all in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and God bless.